challenges that our nation is facing. And if I could fast forward to the political part of it, um, I would like to see us educate our elected officials in a way that have this same social justice focus and mission and are always looking out to improve our society.
Feel free, I would just say, for those of you that have the sheets, want to ask someone else's question, or if you have your own, feel free to just do a free form and burn form on that.
And actually, let me continue on that question for a second. So, you know, it's certainly a place where I operate from, and it's the educational experience that I've sought out. But it's about living that purposeful life. And I don't know how much you saw, if you have my resume or my cover letter, but you know, it's about being a committed public servant, a community volunteer, really being engaged and a part of conversations that advance social justice. It's not only just about talking about it, but it really is about being more action-oriented and demonstrating how you're making a difference. So I just wanted to close or add that into the answer.
I have a question. What's your stance? This is like a two-part question. What's your stance on regarding undocumented communities?
Yeah, sure. One of the things that we've been doing in our community, or something that's associated the organization that I'm at, we've been leading discussions around immigration and undocumented populations, and we do it in a deliberative setting, so that we bring together people who have very different views on the subject, so that we can have a conversation. And we do it in a structured way where there are scenarios, like these are the outcomes around the issues. And so we can help guide the conversation and come to resolution around it. You know, my personal views on this, you know, is sort of what I love about San Francisco as a sanctuary city, really kind of a model, I think, for the rest of our country. I see us as a sanctuary campus in many ways, and it would be very interesting. I signed documentations and to support DACA and to make sure that our new administration does not do anything to hurt students that have come forward and been active in that way.
Yeah, that was part of my follow-up question, is how do you plan to support undocumented students?
Sure. I mean, that's working with the administration, certainly, and the faculty as well, and making sure that we have policies in place that support their success. All students have the opportunity, the right to be in a learning environment, regardless of their citizenship or anything else. That we can't create those barriers. I think we need to be extremely supportive of students who want to come to CIIS or ACTC and experience the type of education that we deliver. And I think that aligns with our institution. I can't imagine suddenly putting up walls and barricades and stopping students from wanting to come here that want to have this kind of experience. And I'm interested in the international student. I really haven't had a chance to. We've talked a little bit about the percentage of international students. I think it's a little bit over 10%.
About 112 students, 110 to 15 students.
You know, how did you find this incredible institution, and how has it been as an international student, immersing yourself in American higher education?
Hard.
Challenging.
Do you feel like there could be
Certainly.
more support
Certainly.
here to help international students?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been here for 5 and some years, and I think that there's a lot of promises made to students who come here, in terms of whatever they will invest and whatever supports they will get, and those are a lot of promises that go unfulfilled. And guess another aspect of that is thinking beyond international students to come here to get an education, point blank. I don't think that that's the case. I think that people who come here and invest in a super expensive education in the United States are aiming to perhaps further their careers in the United States and do things to do that, and then that doesn't really pan out with any support from the CIIS. That's been my case, and I don't know for other international students. I mean, I won't speak, I know, but I won't speak for them. I'm also on adjunct faculty at this university, and this supports in terms of like documentation and like furthering your career, like that is like out of the table. So yeah, that's kind of really problematic, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was over at the ACTC and this morning, and we're having this conversation as well around Chinese students who want to come and study here, and they're not even necessarily being allowed to come. One, because that approach to learning exists much more in China than it does here. So why would you come here to learn how to do acupuncture? We're not going to let you come here. You should, and you know, it's those really challenging issues that international students face who come here and want to stay here, and our country makes it difficult. Certainly, I know we stood up a Center for Career and Community Engagement, and that's a relatively new service, and but I don't know what that office is doing to help international students. Maybe we can do more. And
I'm talking from higher administration in terms of supporting work visas, supporting transitions that are, because it seems like our work is it's important to capitalize on our work and on our labor, but not to further our compromises that are not only with the institution, but that are, because this is a social justice oriented institution here, not only mandated, but we come here with a mission to engage directly with grassroots communities. And that's actually the point of many of the people that come here. So the engagement that's on the ground and that it's beyond the university walls is enormous. But the institutional affiliation makes it so, or should make it so, that one professional could advance with support in terms of the work visa without having to battle the university for it, especially someone who's been a student and then transitions into an adjunct position and works for the university. So that's a concern in terms of international students' work visas, transitioning from F1 visas to H1 visas, and so on and so forth. I think it's a super important thing.
it should be a priority of the institution.
It certainly should. And in bringing scholars from all over the world, you know, resident scholars need visas. So because international students can only work on campus and for a limited amount of hours, right? And that goes beyond the university because it's a federal law. There are instances in which the university is positioned to support those transitions into work visas so that scholars can remain and contribute to the institution that they've already been contributing to for very low pay, because it's adjuncts, that's precarious situation, and also as an international student that's an adjunct, you can make only a certain amount of money per year. So you're tied to the university in that sense. So those supports are definitely missing.
I want to give other people a voice here, and still interested in the international students, since we have so many in the room here at once, you know, I want to hear your perspective, and then certainly your other perspectives too.
I don't identify as an international student. I've been in the United States for 26 years.
Okay.
So I think maybe it would be better.
Yeah, I don't really identify as an international student either, even though I am one or have this label. In my journey, I came across CIIS, and I feel that it's the case for we arrive here and there's a sort of reason, something that like circumstances or synchronicities bring us here. So my question for you would be, how do you know you're on the right path? And a segue question to that is, how do you know that CIIS is the next step on your path?
Sure. I feel that I've been working on this path for a while, working towards this aspirational goal of being a college president of a truly unique institution with a social justice mission. And and then in the last 25 years, I've worked in arts education. I've worked at Antioch University, and I've worked for a current organization that works with 23 different colleges, universities of all different kinds. Big research universities, historically Black colleges, faith-based, small liberal arts institutions. And I've had the great fortune of kind of sitting in the middle of higher education and watching the landscape change and watching institutions wrestle with real challenges and working with them through these challenges. And it's given me not only the kind of breadth of experience to see so many different institutions and how they approach challenges, but some depth as well. And I'm at this critical point in my career where people actually question, why would I ever consider living it's a dream job that I have right now. And I consider leaving it for the opportunity to be at an institution like this. Otherwise, I am really happy with the work that I'm doing. We are continuously challenging ourselves in higher education to be entrepreneurial, to develop new programs. We operate from a place of collaboration, and that's where I operate from. So bringing together people and voices to solve our problems and envision new possibilities. And so, the uniqueness, just to come back, of this place, sort of what has attracted you to it, and you found it, right? You for various reasons, you found this place. I found it too, actually, in that when I was visiting San Francisco over Thanksgiving this year, I said, I want to learn what opportunity is there here in San Francisco, this incredible city, and what institution really reflects its social mission. And CIIS, there it was, looking for their next president, and I felt like it was calling me. And that that can't be the only way our students find us, though. We need to really be telling our story so that we're the institution that comes to mind when students who want to make a difference in the world and want to pursue an educational pathway that leads to supporting them making a difference in the world, they think of us first, not just stumble across us or are dependent on just word of mouth, but it is the organization and the university that attracts students like yourselves. And if we have questions from our video audience, or
feel free to chime in, Alex. Unmute yourself.
I'll try to say it if my audio is clear, but I also texted the question. It's, what can an institution like CIIS do to counter a society based on social conformism?
Should I repeat that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can an institution like CIIS do to counter a society based on social conformism?
I mean, you could simply continue to do what you're doing, right? The programs that you offer, while in degree, PhD, MFA, BA, are common degrees, the content areas that you focused on are pretty unique compared to your traditional university. And so we need to maintain that spirit of uniqueness and find ways to develop new degree programs that kind of leverage what already exists, but really challenge us. And I think of this as the president, it's really challenging the faculty and making sure you provide the resources so that they can be challenged and innovate in a safe space and come up with new areas for us to focus on. So it's, yeah, Alex, it's really continuing to challenge the conformity, if you will, and make sure that in the counterculture city that we were born in, we continue to preserve that spirit and not lose sight of it. I'm talking louder. I don't know why. I feel like you're on the video and you're miles away. So
I'll just do a quick time check if we maybe want to do, one or two last questions within this group, and then story, some quick stories.
I just want to make sure that we get to the disability part.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was thinking maybe one or two
we can
more.
start
of the
there right now.
schedule.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Oh, there's people that haven't spoken.
Yeah, and there are people that emailed in some
Oh, sure.
questions in advance.
Okay.
I just want to honor that they had.
I'll try and
requested.
be shorter in my answers too, to save us a little bit of time. And you can certainly ask me to follow up if I'm too short.
Are there any that each of you see on the sheets that you think would be especially pertinent or areas that haven't?
Well, I have one kind of three-part question. Yeah, there's a lot in here, but yeah, please take. Okay, I'm just gonna read it. How do you feel you can take the leadership position of an institution committed to disrupting dominant paradigms of hierarchy and domination, power, and privilege? What are the driving strategies and practices that you will put into place that embody values of mutual aid, autonomy, direct action, decentralized decision-making, and solidarity?
Anthropology and social change question.
This is the last part. How will you lessen the contradiction of running an institution of higher ed in a capitalist economy that is working to be something else beyond that?
So obvious.
Great. Let's start at the end here for a second. In terms of running an institution like this in a capitalist economy, my role as a president is to leverage that capitalist economy to support the mission of this organization. We live in one of the wealthiest areas in the country. There's so much wealth here, and that wealth needs to be redirected to support the social mission of this institution. So that's, priority number one. What was the rest of the question?
Just to sum it up, like what are some strategies and practices that you have to,
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put the pressure a little bit back on you. We're going to create the learning environment for you to come through, but you're going to make the change out there in the world. You're going to change the paradigms and challenge them. And, so we're going to have to challenge ourselves to make sure that we continue to cultivate that learning for you, but it goes back on our alumni who are the change agents, who are the leaders, the next generation, the current generation of leaders. So that's how we're going to make change. We're going to continue to graduate more students from this institution, and then certainly mobilize them in ways that we can make positive change in the world.
So a quick follow-up to that. So, what are some strategies that you have to hold faculty and program directors accountable to upholding value and mission of social justice and diversity?
So one of the things where I work now, so starting at the strategic level up here, at the vision, mission level, those values are represented. And then they're clearly articulated as values within the organization. And they are physically articulated. You see them, they're representative of our organization. But we don't even just stop there. It gets down to the evaluation level, that our employees are basically, part of their evaluation process is living up to those values and demonstrating how they contribute directly to the vision and the mission of the organization. So those are some structural practices you can put in place within an organization. And then it's at that evaluation level that begins to hold accountability within the organization.
So just because we are in such a quick half hour plus, want to allow Sarah to be able to share your piece, and then any closing thoughts from people before we have to.
I'll try to be
Sean.
brief. So I'll start with this quick story of how I arrived here. I'm a disability studies scholar, first and foremost. I got my education in Philadelphia, my master's degree, with a pretty radical group of disability studies activists and scholars. And that's actually the root of disability studies. It's a pretty much grassroots initiative turned academic, political infiltration into the ivory tower. So I wanted to do some sort of, instead of going toward the disability studies PhD, which I was advised against, solely because we are a small discipline as it is, and our job as emerging scholars is to actually infiltrate the larger humanities and social sciences so that disability studies stops being a subdiscipline or a study and becomes recognized and legitimized as a natural site of oppression, right? Recognized as it is a natural site of oppression and resilience. So I found CIIS. I found the New Anthropology and Social Change program, which I have nothing but the best things to say about. Not the same for the institution as a whole, though. My program has been the most rewarding, supportive, collaborative, amazing experience where faculty who previously didn't have expertise in disability studies have turned that around and actually applied themselves to really incorporate curriculum and a really integrative, intersectional view on social justice and pushing against capital. That question right there says it comes from my department. So I've had support from that department in all areas. When I first arrived, I started to develop this disability justice mission at CIIS without an official container because there were really no places in the institution where disability advocacy. I'm not talking about accommodations. I'm not talking about ADA, which are the minimum, bare minimum rules and laws that should be granted to disabled people without treating that as a favor or, yeah, okay, we'll think about it. We'll just try to see how we can accommodate you. This building is not ADA compliant to begin with. And anyway, so I started the Disability Justice Initiative, supported by my dearest colleague, Angela Anderson, who's there, who's been Student Alliance Director and one of the most admirable social justice and change makers in this institution. We arrived at the same time, and we've been co-creating stuff ever since. So I had no container for this, but I still pushed disability justice in every way that I could at the institution through bringing people from my community to various disability communities in the Bay Area and beyond, creating just awareness, not only awareness around disability justice, but disability as a political and cultural experience beyond a clinical diagnosis or label, which is how disability is dominantly treated in institutions and in the community. And for 4 years, I had students and colleagues and people coming to my little cubicle. I was working as a research assistant for anthropology and social change to share with me about disability, because I've always been open and transparent around my identity as a disabled woman, pretty proud of it as well. It's driven my scholarship, my pedagogical approaches. Everything that I do is really disability oriented and disability at the intersections of race, class, gender expression, sexual orientation, ethnicity, citizenship, and so on. And so 4 years, and so there were this ADA violations and FERPA violations, because obviously people would come to me and talk to me about these issues in my little cubicle that was open to the whole institution, whomever wanted to pass by could hear. So it was like trying to find little nooks and niches to like talk to people about these issues. And this went on for 4 years, and I finally, Angela gave me a nudge and said, let's do something about this. Let's try to create some sort of official institutional container for this work. Let me tell you, it was an uphill battle. So we designed in collaboration, she helped me, and I designed a proposal for what a position on disability justice advocacy would look like, and what the job duties would be, and what it would do to further the climate of inclusion and real integration of disability issues at the heart of social justice conversations. It's pretty much often completely erased and severed from disability justice, from social justice conversations. So we did that, and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion took me on and developed pretty incredible programming. I designed and developed a whole series, Disability as Diversity, in 3 modules that was directed, first of all, toward faculty and to serve faculty and staff, because I had been working with students, and it's pretty thriving, and the position just got caught. So I guess my question for you is, how do you understand disability, first of all? Second of all, how do you see disability, like strategies around disability, like real disability visibility in this building? There's no braille and signs and doors. There's really, it's really going beyond the mandates of ADA, which like entail just a simple liability in terms of legality and not being sued. That's not social justice. That's just like conforming to whatever the law minimal. So I just want to hear what you say and what opportunities that would be for an actual position on disability advocacy at this university.
I mean, the first thing I wanted to respond to is like, you know, what an incredible example of being sort of a scholar activist, and that's kind of I see as at the heart of this institution, and to the degree in which if we have barriers, they do need to be challenged and pushed, and this is what you've done is exactly that. You've pushed through some of the barriers that were here and made real change. So, you know, one, thank you for not giving up or going somewhere else, and for really focusing on combining that, you know, as a student, that scholar activist point of view. My experience in a couple different settings at Sochi, we have 17 councils and committees that we bring together across our institutions. And I won't go through all 17, but one of those is disability services. And we bring together the leaders at the different campuses in those divisions and departments. And right away when we do that, we see huge inequity across institutions. Institutions that really value students with disabilities and serving student populations with disabilities, putting in place to support services. And they become kind of shining models for many of the other institutions. And that do go beyond just mandated policies and accommodations, but really do go to the degree of advocacy on their campus. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there's somebody who suddenly is like, oh, I'm here today. I'm the disabilities coordinator for our campus. I'm also this other coordinator, and I'm also, I teach in this other program, but I've been given the hat to wear now because we recognize that we don't have that on our campus. We need to begin to build that infrastructure. Like, so real differences in partly in how schools are resourced. What I've heard here over the last, how many hours? Starting 8 o'clock yesterday morning, is the under-resourced institution that we are at. And it is under-resourced institutions that do not have, they're not in the position to just overnight make rapid change, but this
it's not really overnight though. It's been like 50 plus years of disability advocacy. So it's like,
right, but the so you know, so here we are wrestling with so many different issues and So we need to find a way to be more resourced to support these issues. And then when we're not resourced, we can't let that stop us from having the hard conversations and making sure that we're doing all that we can do to support, a learning community for students of all backgrounds and abilities. And because, that's who we are as an institution. I mean, that's my quick answer, but your story.
Sorry, what would that look like? Resourcing, doing all that we can do, like to you, what would that look like?
Yeah, sure.
I'll just apologize, Bets, if we could have that as the last question since you are now late for your
Okay.
next session. So I apologize for that.
I mean, first, it would be a matter of understanding what does it look like, and you've done a good job kind of explaining that story, but I want to even hear more. What does it look like?
Way bigger than that.
Yeah,
for sure.
like what does it currently look like? And then in the changes that have been made, what are some positive stories we can tell about those changes? And then how can we build upon that to make sure that we allocate more resources so that we can create a learning environment, in which all our students benefit. Sure.
Thank you all. I'm so sorry that the time goes so quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any quick final words as we adjourn and move forward. For all of you here, thank you so much for being here, and please share with your friends. Matt is recording all of this too, so other students will be able to access this video.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh,
With captions.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. Closing words, I guess I'm listening to our desert island stories. Let's bring all of our music together and create some world music and some real positive change on that island so that we can attract many, many more students to our island of CIIS San Francisco and move this institution in the future. Just given the opportunity, I can't to come back and serve in this role. I really want to spend more time hearing your stories, hearing your music. And thank you for taking time. It did go by fast. It was only 30 minutes. So, I'm sure we could spend many more hours talking, but unfortunately our schedule is pretty scheduled. It has been. So thank you for taking time. Thank you to those who phoned in and videoed in. Thank you for tuning into this session.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.